Bond. We're back to bonds. So if you live in the Chatham Central School District, there is an $18.2 million bond. They're trying to slide past you in the dark of winter with no notice. I got my flyer 2 weeks ago. I got my flyer a week ago. The vote is on Valentine's Day. It's a new St. Valentine's Day massacre for the homeowner. So I'm encouraging you to go in and vote on February 14th, Valentine's Day, on this bond.
So this is a public service announcement, because regardless on, this is what community radio is for, actually, regardless on which side of the fence and which way you lean, this, that, left, right, center, or whatever, you could be extreme center, who knows?
Yeah.
The point is that part of what you're bringing to the table today, which we definitely always appreciate, is making people aware of the democratic process in which they supposedly live, which involves voting on very serious issues. When there's an $18.2 million
bond
vote happening on Valentine's Day, that it sounds like the people actually have a say in voting on this thing. How does that work?
They have a say if they can vote. The job of the school is to not let anyone know that this election is going on. That in the middle of winter on February 14th, you can vote at the Mary E. Dardis Elementary School. Your choice. If you think you want an $18.2 million second mortgage on your home, vote for it. For me, I'm going to vote against it. But the main strategy of the company, the school, the company does not want anyone to come in, or as few as possible. The company's power is vested in their voting bloc. The employees of the school, their sisters, cousins, and aunts, represent what I call the union voting bloc. This voting bloc in a general election, when there's not a lot of excitement, represents a 2.5 to 1 advantage to them, to the company. So they're very advantaged if you're demoralizing, what's the point in going in and voting? In this case, it's a huge point. You save yourself vast amounts of money, 18.2 million, and you have the power to vote on February 14, Valentine's Day. So my hope is that this will reach some Chathamites, some people in Kinderhook and Ghent. All the people in the Chatham Central School District have the right and should use their power to vote, because this is a very important vote. So my sole reason to come on is to say, you probably haven't heard about this. And it's really essential, and that's what's so great about you, Kieran, and the station, is that people can go and remind people, ring the bell, let them know, get the clarion call that this, major bond is happening, but they've gotten, as little notification as legally possible. And so that was a flyer in my mail a week ago, waking me up. But even my friends, like Steve Gilger, who's been on the show before, he hasn't, he didn't get a flyer. So there are people who would, be deeply vested and interested in going down and voting, whether yay or nay. They haven't even heard about it, which is the strategy. The strategy is working, and my job, isn't to defeat their strategy, but to give the public a chance, to give homeowners and parents and taxpayers a chance to, check in on this subject.
Let's back up a second, Wayne, because I think it's important for people. Me, I'm actually totally in the dark about this. What is a school tax bond? What is a bond? Why is it so much money? What the heck goes into $18.2 million? I mean, are we talking just salaries and administration of all the schools and stuff like that? Or what are some of the details of the monetary implications of this school tax bond?
Bonds, government bonds, this is a government bond. Essentially, the banks want to lend as much money as possible against my house and my tax earnings in the future. So this is an opportunity to do that. to lend against my house, my working life, to build up tax revenues for banks, for contractors, and big business in Albany. They do it through superintendents. The superintendents organization is called NISCUS, the New York State Council of School Superintendents. And NISCUS is a lobbying group funded by these large contractors' dollars. Microsoft, to construction companies, to armament, literally cameras. I'm sure the police contribute because now they're in school. So everyone's looking to saw off a piece of my future revenues. So a bond is to borrow against the future, theoretically, for some kind of a social benefit. In this case, in the case of bonds these days, that social benefit is extremely tiny compared to the cost of the bond. I'll give you an example. So on February 14th, they want us to approve $18.2 million. Half of that, we'll say $9 million, is going to be state taxes, new taxes from the state. At least 3.5% will be going to the banks. So whatever 3.5% of, I should have figured it out. We'll say, with a 15-year bond, we'll say $7 or $8 million, maybe more, will go to a bank for doing nothing, for being the loan business. So banks love it. So on February 14th, people in the Chatham Central School District have a chance to vote for or against this $18.2 million bond. And they're literally borrowing against your future and against your house. I call it like a second mortgage that they're dropping on you in the dead of winter with almost no notice and no information about what this borrowing's for. You can go to their website, and I encourage it, chathamcentralschooldistrict.com. And they have a video. The video is, forget the video. If you go to their, what do they call it? Capital Project page, you can look at all the minutiae of what they're getting. But for $18.2 million, you could easily replace any one of the three buildings. They're only insured for about $10 million apiece. So $18.2 million, you could rebuild the building. They're not rebuilding any buildings. New York has a strange thing where they've parceled off your largest tax, your school tax, into its own separate tax. And what's really weird is the company that gets the benefit, the school, controls the taxation. So they get to move around and manipulate the elections to try to, drop voters, get rid of voters and not have them vote against them. They get to, like with this bond, they get to spend years developing this bond, but not tell you until the last 2 weeks. Everything is a manipulation to suppress voting.
Can you spell taxes, bonds, and closed schools? 26,000 per child, mediocrity tenured.